The winner is Julie Andrews. Mary Poppins.
Thank you very much for this lovely honor.
She won Oscars. She charmed the world. But behind Julie Andrews's perfect smile was a dirty secret she kept for 60 years. The shocking affair began on a movie set in 1965. She was married. He was married. Their chemistry was explosive. When gossip spread about their secret hotel meetings, studio bosses threatened to destroy them both. Julie chose silence, until now. The Sound of Music star finally reveals the forbidden romance that cost her everything. Julie Andrews was born in 1935 in a small English town called Walton-on-Thames. But even as a baby, her life was already tangled. Her mother, Barbara, had an affair with a family friend, and Julie was the result. For years, Julie believed someone else was her father. She only found out the truth at age 15. That truth stayed hidden from the public until she told it herself in her autobiography decades later. When World War II began, her family life fell apart. Her parents separated and eventually remarried. Julie moved around, sometimes living with her real father, sometimes with her mother and new stepfather, Ted Andrews. Life with her stepfather was not easy. He was a drinker and worse, crossed serious lines. Julie had to put a lock on her bedroom door to protect herself. They lived in a poor part of London, struggling to get by. Those war years, she later said, were some of the darkest of her life. But even in that mess, there was one bright spot: her voice. Her stepfather, despite his problems, noticed she had talent and arranged singing lessons for her. That is when she met Madame Lillian Stiles Allen, a famous vocal coach. Julie called her a third mother. Madame saw something rare in Julie, an incredible vocal range and crystal-clear tone. Julie did not think her voice was anything special. She joked that only dogs could hear her highest notes. But others were amazed. She trained hard, balancing school and music lessons, preparing for a life few kids her age could imagine. Julie's first real performances were with her parents. She was just 10, standing on a beer crate to reach the microphone, singing beside her mother on piano and her stepfather. Soon, she was singing for soldiers, traveling by train, and even sleeping in luggage racks alongside fellow child star Petula Clark. At age 12, everything changed. Her stepfather introduced her to a man who ran some of London's biggest theatres. He gave her a shot, and Julie took it. Her professional debut came at the London Hippodrome, where she sang a difficult French opera piece in front of a packed crowd. She was just a kid, but her performance stopped the show. The audience went wild. That one night turned into a year-long gig. She even had a skit with a balloon-making comedian named Wally Bogue, where she would run on stage and tell him she could sing, then wow the audience. At 13, she became the youngest solo singer ever to perform at the Royal Variety Show in front of the King and Queen. From there, things moved fast. She was on radio, then television, becoming a familiar voice across Britain. She played roles in children's plays like Jack and the Beanstalk and Cinderella, and by the time she was a teenager, she had her own following. Julie's first film was not a blockbuster. It was a voice role in an Italian cartoon, The Singing Princess. But it was her first step towards something bigger. Julie Andrews had just turned 19 when she stepped onto a Broadway stage for the first time. It was September 30, 1954, and she had landed the lead role of Polly Brown in a musical called The Boyfriend. It was not just any debut, it was a life-changing moment. She had been recommended for the part by British actress Hattie Jacques, someone Julie always thanked for giving her that first real shot. But taking the job was not easy. Julie had to leave her family in England behind, and she was terrified. She was the one supporting them financially, and now she was flying across the world unsure if she would even succeed. But her father encouraged her to go, and that one choice would change everything. Her performance was a hit. Critics loved her. Audiences were blown away by her clear, powerful voice and perfect comic timing. The show ran for 485 performances, and Julie won the Theatre World Award for her debut. But the real prize was not just the applause, it was who happened to be watching. Two big Broadway producers, Alan J. Lerner and Frederick Loewy, were in the audience. They were casting for their new show, My Fair Lady, and they had just found their Eliza Doolittle. By March 1956, Julie was 20 and no longer a newcomer. She was a star. Playing Eliza Doolittle opposite Rex Harrison in My Fair Lady was not just a big deal, it was the role. The transformation from Cockney flower girl to polished lady gave Julie a chance to show off both her acting and her voice. And people noticed. The show was a monster hit. It stayed on Broadway for years, and the cast recording was everywhere, on radios, in homes, even on the charts. After conquering New York, she brought the same magic to London's West End in 1958. Her voice could stretch 4 octaves, and her talent crossed oceans. Then, in 1960, she returned to Broadway again, this time as Queen Guinevere in Camelot. She starred opposite Richard Burton, a Welsh actor who lit up the stage. Offstage, things got a little complicated. Julie later admitted she had a strong attraction to Burton. He was charming, magnetic, and she was drawn to him. For a while, he kept things professional. But when he finally made a move, Julie shocked everyone, especially herself, by snapping back with a curse word. Mary Poppins let fly, she joked later, calling him out and shutting things down. Their energy on stage did not suffer though. If anything, it sizzled more. The show struggled at first, but turned around after a performance aired on The Ed Sullivan Show. Audiences showed up, and the production ran for 3 strong years. Burton won a Tony. Julie got another nomination. And someone very important was watching, Walt Disney. Disney saw her in Camelot and immediately knew she was his Mary Poppins. But before that could happen, something painful hit Julie hard. Hollywood was making a film version of My Fair Lady, and everyone assumed she would star in it. She had made the role famous. She was Eliza Doolittle. But Warner Brothers said no. They wanted a bigger name. They gave the part to Audrey Hepburn. It was a gut punch. Audrey was already a major film star, but she could not sing like Julie. In fact, most of her songs had to be dubbed by another singer. Julie later said that if they had asked her to sing for someone else's voice, she would have spat in their eye. But losing that role opened the door to something better. Disney offered her Mary Poppins. He saw her on stage in Camelot and rushed backstage that night to meet her. Julie thought he was just being polite. Then she told him she could not take any new roles. She was pregnant. Walt smiled and said, "That is okay, we will wait." He was not just being nice. This had been his dream project for decades. He had promised his daughters he would make a film based on their favorite book, and he believed Julie was the only one who could do it. He even rented a house in Los Angeles for her family to stay in. When Mary Poppins premiered in 1964, no one really expected the woman from a small English village to take over the world. She was 29, a first-time film actress, and yet from the moment she appeared on screen as the magical nanny, audiences were hooked. The movie exploded. It made over $44 million in the United States and more than $13 million worldwide. The following year, the two films went head-to-head at the Oscars. Mary Poppins crushed it. Julie Andrews won Best Actress. Audrey Hepburn did not even get nominated. In her speech, Julie thanked the man who made this possible, Jack Warner, a cheeky nod to the executive who had rejected her. To top it off, Mary Poppins made more money than My Fair Lady even though it cost far less to produce. Hollywood had learned who Julie Andrews really was. When The Sound of Music hit theaters in March 1965, it did not just become a hit, it exploded. It made $286 million worldwide and turned Julie Andrews into a global icon. She played Maria Von Trapp, a lively young nun who brings music back into a grieving family's home. That opening shot of her twirling on the mountaintop became one of the most famous scenes in movie history. But it was not magical behind the scenes. A helicopter filmed the shot, and the wind from the blades kept slamming her to the ground. She later joked that she was flattened into the grass after every take. Winning 5 Oscars including Best Picture, the movie made Andrews Hollywood's Golden Girl. But being too perfect came with a price. She had just played 2 beloved nanny roles in a row, and people were beginning to say she could only do musicals. Julie knew she needed to break out of the mold. So later in 1964, she picked a completely different kind of film, the Americanization of Emily. It was set during World War II and had a much darker tone. She played a British widow opposite James Garner. For the first time, she was not singing, she was acting, and she proved she could do it. Next she teamed up with Alfred Hitchcock for Torn Curtain, a Cold War spy thriller released in 1966. She starred opposite Paul Newman, and Universal Pictures was counting on their star power. But Hitchcock was not happy. He felt both actors were too polished for the gritty tone he wanted. Critics were mixed, but audiences showed up anyway. The movie made over $13 million on a $3 million budget. It was a win, but a shaky one. That same year, she took on Hawaii, a massive historical drama based on James Michener's novel. It had the biggest budget of any movie at the time, $15 million, and despite delays from heavy rain and even tidal wave warnings, it became the highest-grossing film of the year. Julie played a strong-willed woman who follows her missionary husband to the islands. Her performance was solid, but strangely, the spotlight ended up on Jocelyn Lagarde, a complete newcomer who played a Hawaiian queen. She stole the show and even won a Golden Globe. It was the kind of surprise nobody saw coming. By the end of the 60s, the magic started fading. In 1968, Julie starred in Star, a biopic about stage actress Gertrude Lawrence. The budget was huge, The director was the same man behind The Sound of Music, and everything seemed set for success. But the film fell flat. Critics slammed her for being too theatrical. Variety did not hold back, calling her performance overdone and hideous. The film flopped so hard it became one of the most expensive failures of the decade. Then came Darling Lily in 1970, directed by her husband Blake Edwards. It was meant to reinvent her image. She cursed on screen. She did a striptease. Audiences were stunned, and not in a good way. The movie cost a fortune, around $25 million, and failed at the box office. It was another massive flop. Just like that, Hollywood did not see her as a leading lady anymore. Strangely enough, she still earned Golden Globe nominations for both Star and Darling Lily. The respect was there, but the momentum was not. She needed a reset. In 1972, she turned to television with the Julie Andrews Hour, a variety show packed with music, comedy, and guest stars. ABC had so much faith in her that they signed her to a 5-year deal. The show premiered to glowing reviews. Critics praised her versatility and charm. But good reviews did not equal good ratings. The show struggled against stronger competition and was cancelled after just one season. Then something strange happened. A month after being axed, the show won big at the Emmys, 7 awards out of 10 nominations. It was bittersweet. An award-winning show that nobody watched. ABC gave her a few more specials to make up for it, but it was clear TV wasn't her new home either. So she made a bold move. She hit the nightclub circuit. Yes, the woman best known for singing with kids in the Alps now stood in smoky clubs singing jazz and telling jokes. It was a total reinvention. She poked fun at her own image, cracked jokes about Hollywood, and proved she wasn't just a goody two-shoes from musicals. Critics loved it. Audiences were impressed. She showed the world a new side of herself, sharp, funny, and completely in control. Then in 1979 came her big screen comeback. She starred in 10, a romantic comedy directed by Blake Edwards. It was sexy, funny, and very modern. It made over $74 million and showed that Julie Andrews still had star power. She followed it up with S.O.B. in 1981, a dark comedy where she stunned everyone by appearing topless. That moment was no accident, it was her way of burning her old image and claiming a new one. But the real turning point came in 1982 with Victor Victoria. In it, she played a struggling singer who pretends to be a man pretending to be a woman to land a nightclub gig. The role was clever, layered, and daring. It touched on gender identity, sexuality, and survival, and she nailed it. The film made $28 million, earned her another Golden Globe, and got her an Oscar nomination. Suddenly, Maria von Trapp was no longer the only role people thought of when they heard her name. Julie Andrews had done what few stars ever manage. She had reinvented herself not once, but multiple times. And she did it without losing what made people love her in the first place. While her career soared, her personal life became more complicated. Julie had married set designer Tony Walton in 1959. Their connection started way back in childhood. He first saw her perform when they were just kids and later became her pen pal. They married while she was still starring in My Fair Lady in London. In 1962, their daughter Emma was born. Julie was now balancing Broadway, motherhood, and a new marriage. It wasn't easy. Work kept them apart, sometimes for months, sometimes across continents. And being a mother while juggling fame wasn't something Julie was prepared for. She once said it pulled her in opposite directions. Her heart was torn between her child and her career, and sometimes even between her husband and her child. The pressure built up over the years. She stayed quiet about it at the time, burying the emotions just to keep going. Eventually, the strain was too much. In 1969, Julie and Tony divorced. The breakup left Andrews emotionally drained. She turned to therapy, a decision that changed her life. Director Mike Nichols encouraged her to seek help, and she listened. Therapy helped her deal with what she called the clutter and garbage in her mind. It gave her clarity and strength to keep going. Years later, she spoke openly about mental health, hoping her story would help others. It was right outside a therapist's office that fate decided to shake things up. That's where she ran into director Blake Edwards. He later joked that it was a wonderfully Hollywood moment, but that moment was real. They had both been through heartbreak. Both were quietly wounded. And both found a strange comfort in each other. Despite the 13-year age difference, something just clicked? By 1969, they were married. Their life became a mix of movie sets and family dinners. She stepped in as a mother to his kids, and later they adopted 2 daughters from Vietnam, Amy and Joanna. They weren't just partners at home, they teamed up in work too. They made 7 movies together, including S.O.B. and Victor Victoria. Some films didn't do well, like Darling Lily, but they never let that affect their relationship. Andrews often said that Blake's sharp humor balanced her more serious nature. Their marriage lasted 41 years, right until his death in 2010. And even after he passed, she kept calling their time together a true love story. But long before Blake, there was another chapter, less known but deeply emotional. Back in 1960, Julie was starring in Camelot on Broadway, playing Guinevere opposite Richard Burton as King Arthur. On stage, their chemistry was electric. Offstage, it was complicated. At the time, she was still married to Tony Walton, but cracks had already started to show. Burton was charming, intense, and impossible to ignore. Julie later admitted their marriage was shaky, and she was feeling alone. Working closely with Burton every day stirred up feelings she wasn't expecting. She admitted to being tempted, but she never crossed the line. Her focus stayed on the work. She knew what was at stake. And even though the pull was strong, she chose discipline over desire. That decision may have saved her from even more heartache. Then came The Sound of Music in 1965. Julie played Maria. Christopher Plummer played the captain. Their chemistry was magical, and it wasn't just acting. Behind the scenes, they had a quiet crush on each other. Both were going through hard times in their personal lives. Julie was still feeling the weight of a rocky marriage. Plummer was dealing with his own struggles. It would have been easy for something romantic to spark, but it never did. Plummer once joked they should have had a huge smashing affair, but life just didn't allow it. Julie had her kids with her. The timing was wrong. Still, something lasting came from it, a deep friendship. Julie said they were never an item, and maybe that's what made the bond stronger. They respected each other deeply. She often praised him for grounding The Sound of Music, keeping it from becoming too sweet or silly. Over the years, they stayed close, checked in on each other, laughed together, supported one another. And when Plummer passed away in 2021, Julie said they had remained great friends until the end. As her personal life changed, so did her career. The 1980s brought new challenges in that's life. In 1986, she played a singer facing the possibility of cancer. The role hit close to home because, around that time, doctors found a lesion on her throat. The film explored aging, relationships, and fear of the unknown. That same year, she starred in Duet for One, playing a famous violinist diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. The story was raw and emotional. It also gave her the chance to work with Liam Neeson, whose intense performance added to the film's depth. Both roles earned her Golden Globe nominations, proving she was more than just a musical star. By the 1990s, Andrews explored television. In 1992, she starred in the sitcom Julie, playing a TV personality who moves to a small town after marrying a veterinarian. Blake Edwards directed the show, but it never found an audience and was cancelled after just 7 episodes. Even though the series struggled, Andrews found success elsewhere. Julie Andrews, The Sound of Christmas in 1987 won 5 Emmy Awards. In 1989, she reunited with Carol Burnett for Julie and Carol, Together Again. In 1990, she performed in Julie Andrews in concert, reminding everyone why she was a star. After 30 years away from Broadway, she made a grand return in 1993. She starred in Putting It Together, a Stephen Sondheim review about relationships and regrets. It was a small off-Broadway production, running for just 59 performances, but it marked an important comeback. 2 years later, she starred in Victor Victoria, a Broadway adaptation of her 1982 film. She played Victoria Grant, a woman pretending to be a man performing as a female impersonator. The show was a massive success, running for over 700 performances. That same year, the Tony Awards nominated her for Victor Victoria, but when she realized she was the only cast member recognized, she made a bold choice. She rejected the nomination. It was not out of pride or bitterness. She believed the entire cast deserved recognition. It was a rare moment in Broadway history, but it showed the kind of person Andrews was. Julie Andrews returned to Disney after 37 years with The Princess Diaries in 2001. She played Queen Clarice Rinaldi, a royal grandmother guiding her awkward granddaughter, played by Anne Hathaway. Director Gary Marshall cast her without an audition, knowing she was perfect for the role. This was her first Disney film since Mary Poppins in 1964, which had won her an Academy Award. Her performance brought warmth and humor, making Queen Clarice one of her most beloved roles. She mentored Hathaway on set, though she insisted Hathaway needed little guidance. The film became a hit, grossing $165 million worldwide. In The Princess Diaries 2, Royal Engagement in 2004, Andrews even had a rare singing moment despite losing her full singing voice after a 1997 surgery. That same year, she voiced Queen Lillian in Shrek 2. She played Fiona's mother, a supportive and loving queen. Unlike most animated films, she recorded scenes with John Cleese, making their on-screen chemistry more authentic. The Shrek franchise became a global success, and Andrews reprised her role in Shrek the Third in 2007 and Shrek Forever After in 2010. In 2007, she narrated Enchanted, a Disney film mixing fairy tales with the real world. Her voice set the magical tone, bridging classic and modern Disney storytelling. The movie earned over $340 million worldwide. She took on a comedic role in Tooth Fairy in 2010, playing Lily, the head fairy who guides Dwayne Johnson's character through an unexpected magical punishment. The film grossed $112 million, proving Andrews could still shine in lighthearted family films. In 2016, she directed a stage production of My Fair Lady for its 60th anniversary. The show premiered at the Sydney Opera House and toured multiple cities. She ensured it honored the original, using archive designs to recreate sets and costumes. The production broke box office records and received glowing reviews. In 2017, she co-created and hosted Julie's Green Room, a Netflix educational series teaching children about the performing arts. The show featured celebrity guests like Alec Baldwin and Idina Menzel. Her daughter, Emma Walton Hamilton, co-produced the series, making it a family project. The show earned 2 Daytime Emmy nominations. Julie Andrews had a voice that felt like magic. Her 4-octave soprano made Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music unforgettable. But by 1995, something was wrong. While performing Victor Victoria on Broadway, her voice started to strain. At first, it was just hoarseness, the kind that fades with rest, but this time it did not. By 1997, doctors found a lesion on her vocal cords. Some called it non-cancerous nodules, others said it was a benign polyp. Either way, years of singing had taken a toll. Doctors warned her to rest, but she wanted a real solution. In June 1997, she went in for surgery at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. It was supposed to be routine, a quick procedure to remove the lesion and get her voice back. Instead, it changed her life forever. The surgery left her with permanent scarring on her vocal cords. Scar tissue stopped them from vibrating the way they needed to. Her clear, powerful voice was gone. Even speaking became difficult. Back then, vocal cord surgeries were not as advanced. Some used forceps, others relied on lasers. Both carried a high risk of scarring. Andrews later said she had never been fully warned about the dangers. In 1998, her husband Blake Edwards spoke publicly about what had happened. He said what she had feared most, she would never sing again. Losing her voice felt like losing a part of herself. In December 1999, she took action, filing a malpractice lawsuit against Mount Sinai Hospital and the 2 surgeons. She argued that they never told her the real risks and that the operation had ruined her ability to perform. The case was settled privately in September 2000 for an undisclosed amount, but no settlement could undo the damage. She spent the next years searching for answers. From 2000 onward, she went through multiple treatments and 4 more surgeries with Dr. Stephen Zeitels at Massachusetts General Hospital. These helped her speaking voice a little, but her singing voice never came back. In 2002, she turned her focus to helping others. She supported new research on vocal restoration, working with experts at MIT and Harvard Medical School. Scientists were exploring laser technology and tissue engineering to heal damaged vocal cords. She hoped that even if she could not be helped, someone else could be. Through it all, she refused to disappear. She found a new passion in writing. With her daughter Emma Walton Hamilton, she co-wrote a series of children's books. But no matter how much she accomplished, the loss of her voice stayed with her. She has spoken about it openly, calling it one of the greatest heartbreaks of her life. Julie Andrews may have lost her ability to sing, but her legacy is forever. The world will never forget her voice.